What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the case between Yolanda Saldivar and the death of the Tejano singer Selena Quintanilla.
I'm Jeff Brady. Coming up on the Night Beat, the woman accused of killing Selena may in fact have been her closest colleague and best friend. KSAT 12 unravels the mystery of the Tejano superstar's untimely death.
Now, before I begin this video, I just want to say that I tried to take in all accounts, Yolanda's side, Selena's family, and I tried to corroborate a story that I felt was grounded in truth, that was grounded in not protecting one side over the other. So if you're interested in learning and listening, then stay tuned. And if you're not, then just get the fuck out of here. All right, so we're first gonna delve into who is Yolanda Saldivar. Now, Yolanda Saldivar had been Selena's fan club president for 3 years, starting in the year 1991. During this time, Selena and Yolanda Saldivar pretty much maintained a relatively professional working relationship, and it wasn't until the year 1994 that Yolanda had accompanied Selena to one of her music videos for Bidi Bidi Bom Bom, where they kind of started developing a deeper friendship. That same year, Selena wanted to start opening up her own boutiques, which, as you guys have probably seen from her movie, she opened up a fashion line, she opened up a salon, and she had 2 different locations, which were in Corpus Christi and in San Antonio. Now, things started to take a turn between their relationship starting in the year of 1994 into 1995. So I'm gonna take us through the events that led up to Selena's murder. So in the beginning of 1995, Selena's father apparently had received phone calls from disgruntled fans that they were not receiving their little package, sign-up package from joining Selena's fan club. And this started the suspicion of embezzlement. What I find interesting about this claim is that Yolanda Saldivar actually had stopped working for Selena's fan club, as I had mentioned, and she actually started managing the boutiques for Selena instead. So she wasn't necessarily in the day-to-day operations of the fan club. Regardless of that, things started to take a turn in March. March 9th is when we see that meeting play out in Selena's movie with her father, Selena, her sister, and also with Yolanda. And during this meeting, Abraham Quintanilla is really going in on Yolanda, like, where the fuck is the money? You know you took it, bitch. Interestingly enough, according to the testimonies that were given in the court case, Selena's husband, Chris Perez, mentions that March 9th was also the night that Selena had fired Yolanda Saldivar from working with her. What I find interesting is that this claim or this testimony of Yolanda actually being fired that night is the start of questions that I have regarding this image of Yolanda, which is like she's this disgruntled employee, that she was trying to take money from Selena, that she was acting in her own right.
Selena was killed this morning by a disgruntled employee.
Apparently, according to Chris Perez, she was fired on March 9th. Now, the other thing that's interesting about this is that Yolanda actually continues working for Selena. She is helping to set up a 3rd operation in Monterrey, Mexico, which would be another line of that salon/fashion store. When Chris is asked about it, he basically says like, oh, it was tax time. She was still kind of like doing work for us. If she's fired, why is she still working for you guys? Especially if she's fired because she's embezzling funds. Why is she opening up another operation in a completely new country? The embezzlement claim, although it doesn't have to be proven in a case about a murder, it was also something that was not fully looked into. Even Quintanilla Jr. and the CPA, which is the accountant for Selena, they were not questioned while they were performing the trial. So the claims about the embezzlement kind of really came from nowhere. Even Abraham Quintanilla, during his testimony, said that he did not have any say in Selena's businesses, did not have any look into financial documents. So I'm wondering how it could be the case that you do not have any say, but you are also the one that is making claims that somebody is embezzling money. Then on March 10th, Yolanda returns back to Abraham Quintanilla's office, which is at Q Productions, and basically berates her again, tells her that she's not allowed on the premise, she's not allowed to have any relationship with Selena. On March 11th, Yolanda Saldivar goes to buy a gun and she puts down a $100 deposit. According to the gun laws at that time, she was not able to actually pick up the gun. She would have to go back in the upcoming days to grab it. According to the accounts by Yolanda's family in her documentary, Yolanda and Selena, The Secrets Between Them, Yolanda had on this same date moved all of her stuff from her apartment to a new apartment in San Antonio. And also during this time, March 9th, 10th, 11th, there are voice messages left on Yolanda's voice message receiver in her old apartment from Selena, basically like kind of just checking in on her. They seem very like lighthearted and aligns with the fact that there were probably tensions brewing between the family over whatever claims that were being made, and Selena was still kind of showing herself to be a friend to Yolanda.
Hello, Yolanda, it's me, Selena. I was calling to find out how everything was. I'm coming home tomorrow early in the morning. You guys Selena?
On March 13th, Yolanda returns back to purchase her gun, and she also on that same day has a letter of resignation signed by an attorney resigning from Selena's businesses.
I had quit with her. I had sent her my letter of resignation, and she wouldn't accept it. She was, you will not quit. Who's going to handle my businesses in Monterey? Because in Monterey, the business was already blooming.
She specifically mentions that her resignation is due to the other members of the family making it impossible for her to do her job. According to the court case, she returns back on March 15th and she gives back the gun from where she purchased it. And on this same day, apparently, that is the day that Selena received the resignation letter from Yolanda. So again, there's kind of firings happening. There's Yolanda resigning herself. Like, she herself is kind of seemingly also moving on. The other interesting thing too is that the family presents a voicemail from a new job that Yolanda actually was going to start at the end of March that was welcoming her to this orientation, or giving her kind of like the breakdown of like, hey, our orientation date is this time. So it does seem like Yolanda was moving on, or trying to move on from that job. On March 16th, Yolanda goes to Mexico in order to help fulfill duties for the shop or boutique that's opening up in Monterey. Again, this is very interesting because if we're thinking about this narrative of this disgruntled employee, like Yolanda is still working for Selena. Yolanda is still participating in opening up this boutique. If she is somebody who is being claimed to be this embezzler, why is she still working for the family?
There's two tickets. One's Yolanda's, the other one's Selena's. So they both flew on the same flight on March 17th. From Houston to Monterey.
And then, according to the court case, on March 26th, Selena fires Yolanda Saldivar from the business, and she is requesting all of the documentation, financial documentation from her. Now, if you guys haven't heard the word fire, resign, fired, resign over and over and over, the timeline is shaky. And I think the timeline is very interesting because it draws into question the claims that, again, Yolanda was somebody who was not wanting to leave Selena's side. It seems like actually from Yolanda's actions that she was very much preparing for the life after leaving Selena's corporation. Okay, so now we're getting close to the date that Selena was murdered by Yolanda. So on March 30th, Yolanda arrives in the motel, the Days Inn motel, at night. They apparently have a conversation. Yolanda gives her some of the documents, but doesn't give her the full listing of documents according to Chris Perez. Then Selena returns back the morning of March 31st. That morning is when Yolanda tells Selena that she was sexually assaulted while she was in Mexico, and Selena then takes her to the hospital to be checked in on, and then they both return back to the hotel. Now, during this hospital visit, apparently Selena's like not super happy. Selena felt like Yolanda had lied to her about the assault. And interestingly enough, I think the documentary that is made by Yolanda, on Yolanda's side, they don't really touch on this sexual assault. In fact, they actually say that the assault happened on the way back from Mexico. They stop at a Whataburger. She orders something. She goes to the bathroom, and in the bathroom, two men approach her. They assault her physically, not sexually, but they kind of like hit her on the neck/chest, and then that is the assault that happened. So I think it's interesting to consider the documentary because while I feel like Yolanda is sharing a lot of new information, I think it's also, sometimes you can tell by what somebody does not say that kind of gives you the truth that's in between. The doctor also saw the bruises, confirmed that they were bruises. but perhaps it was not of the origin that Yolanda had told Selena. They return back to the hotel, and that is where Selena is murdered. Now, I want to get into kind of the specificities of what was claimed by the different witnesses and talk about what I feel like transpired on the day of the murder. Norma Martinez, she had seen Yolanda follow Selena out of the room, pointing the gun towards her, and also calling her a bitch as Selena ran towards the lobby looking for help. The other account is that once Selena went into the lobby, she was basically telling the lobby employee that someone's chasing her, lock the door, help, I need help. And then the famous last words of Selena was that she said Yolanda's name and the room number that Yolanda was staying in. Now, the interesting thing about this is during the court case, there were eyewitnesses of 2 other individuals who were in the hotel lobby, which were the manager of the hotel and the marketing manager of the Days Inn motel. And both of these people say that actually this employee that claimed that Selena had, one, mentioned that Yolanda was chasing her, and also that she had said her name at the end when she was like about to pass out, was not actually near Selena at that time. Apparently she was off making a phone call. Later on, we know she made a 911 phone call, but that she was away from Selena, but possibly could be within earshot. And both of these individuals also testified that that employee, Shauna Vela, cannot be trusted under oath. From what I can imagine is maybe the hotel employee saw Selena run out of the hotel room, run towards the lobby. She saw Yolanda follow shortly after that. Maybe she had seen, a gun being pointed, but maybe it was that original gun, and the hotel employee led to her own conclusion that Yolanda was in fact chasing her towards the lobby. There was kind of like a little game of telephone of where this information was coming from. I think the motive behind it is what I am calling into question. I think that rather than Yolanda being convicted of a first-degree murder, I think that she's probably more in alignment with a second-degree, because what I could imagine happened during that altercation is that she probably was feeling the sense of maybe like resentment towards Selena. She was helping her with her businesses, even though Yolanda was trying to move on. She was having to prove her loyalty. Other claims that Yolanda had made while she was in the negotiations after Selena's murder were that Abraham Quintanilla was threatening her, slashing her tires, someone was following her around. This also is what she's claiming in her documentary.
What this man has done to me is incredible, Larry.
It is.
He slashed 2 tires in my car. He put 2 bullets in my car. My friend's father.
I could see this potentially being the case because I think Selena probably still wanted to employ Yolanda. Like we saw, it seemed like the decision to fire her was kind of coming from different angles and at different times, and also Yolanda was trying to resign. And so I think it wasn't necessarily the case that Selena wanted Yolanda gone or that Yolanda was resisting it because she herself was finding a new place of employment. But I think the accumulation of, again, the resentment, the paranoia that she probably was experiencing, and also just maybe anger in that moment of maybe a conversation that had gone wrong, she probably did intend to kill Selena in that exact moment, but it was not probably a premeditated incident. Yolanda had purchased the gun at least 2 weeks before. Yolanda had gone to Mexico with Selena a couple of times that month. It seems as though if she wanted to do it, why wait for that exact moment to do it? I believe Yolanda's story that she probably did buy the gun to protect herself. Yolanda's claim that it was an accident is a little bit bogus to me because I'm imagining an incident where you're pointing the gun towards your head and you're saying, I'm gonna kill myself. And according to Yolanda, Selena didn't want her to do it. So then why was Selena specifically killed within the doorway? That means to me that Selena had opened the door, was already stepping outside of it.
We know what happened here at the doorway was that the shooting happened right here on the threshold. We know that because there was no blood on the inside of the room. All the blood was located here and on the wall or on the door here.
It seemed as though Selena was trying to escape in that specific moment. And like I said, maybe it was a conversation that had gone wrong. The other claim is that Yolanda was actually holding a lot of Selena's secrets. And one of the reasons why Selena did not want Yolanda to leave her and go work somewhere else was because she was worried that Yolanda might spill her secrets. Now, I feel like this probably could be partially the case, Selena had an affair with a plastic surgeon in Mexico while she was married to her husband, Chris Perez. This is something that is talked about in Yolanda's documentary. There's a little letter that is shown that is from the plastic surgeon. But during the time of the murder, the doctor had come out and said that Yolanda was like this crazy woman. And then only 17 years after that, the doctor come out and say, actually, no, we were very much in love.
Un amor que no lo puedes decir con palabras a veces, sino que a pesar de que fue muy corto, hubo una entrega completa. Yo estaba dispuesto en ese momento a tener un cambio de vida por ella, sí. Sí, definitivo.
I feel like there could be truth to the fact that Yolanda was somebody who was concealing secrets of Selena. It's hard to imagine because we see Selena as kind of like this almost perfect singer, but really she is a human being. Just because of this affair, I'm not saying that she is deserving of this at all, but I do think that it at least adds some nuance to that relationship that Selena and Yolanda had, where I feel like Yolanda was probably somebody who was getting pressure from Selena's father, Selena's husband, about where is Selena, what is she doing, why is she going to Mexico so often? And Yolanda, due to her loyalty to Selena, probably was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything, and then almost to a fault, because later on, she probably did have resentment over it. She was over here getting threatened by Abraham Quintanilla. She was concealing Selena's secret. She was traveling to Mexico even though she didn't feel safe to do so. And over time, she just built up that hatred. I want to hear what you guys think. I'm going to leave the court case documents in the description below. Feel free to read them. Give me your thoughts. If you saw the documentary of Yolanda's, also give me your thoughts on that. And do you think that Yolanda should be let out on parole? Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.